So for a long time, I thought I was broken. I thought that I was doomed to a life of cheap dopamine consumption, that I didn't have enough willpower, I was never going to amount to anything. And then I realized that my consumption habits were not the main problem of my life. Like, that wasn't the core conflict of my, life narrative. It was the surface level symptom. And the deeper problem was a complete lack of meaning. Nobody taught me what I was supposed to do with my life, like what I was here to do. And in the absence of something more exciting, I turned to all of the comfort substances around me. I currently am someone with an intense need for friction. Like, I need to be engaged in something difficult or challenging or at least meaningful. I'm going to be bored, and that boredom, it can be really, really uncomfortable. Obviously, learning to sit with that boredom and process it is one of the main skills we have to learn in the 21st century. But the other thing is, like, how do we answer those questions of what am I here to do? Like, what is my purpose in this place? Those are difficult questions, and I'm not going to say, we're not going to answer those together right now, but we can try. No, we're not even going to try. What we're going to do is give you a better framework for living life in the digital age, because you're living in a civilization that has taught you instant gratification is the way to feel okay in the moment. They may not have said this explicitly, but that's what you've learned through repeated exposure to such experiences. Whenever you're bored or lonely or you need a moment of stimulation, you turn to your phone or whatever substance you need. Maybe that's vaping or smoking weed or drinking or junk food or any number of other modern pleasures. Been there. Totally get it. It's okay. You're going to be fine. But that's just what you do. And that's what you've learned how to do. And it's probably leaving you starving for meaning. Like, deep down, there's a voice crying out from you saying, this is not it. This is not it, Chief. This is not what I want. You can feed me as much stimulation or instant gratification as you want, and I will never be satisfied. And so you live in this constant loop of seeking more and more and more. Give me more, give me more, give me more gratification. It will never, ever be enough. And I think you know that. And I think that's why you're watching. So what's a better way of living? Well, you're going to turn yourself into a creative athlete. Let me break it down. This is a better option. So here's what we know so far. You're someone who needs stimulation. You're an intense person. You have nowhere to pour that intensity, so it goes into all of these bad habits, right? You apply what is really an admirable level of intensity and willpower and drive into just the wrong things, and it leaves you feeling miserable. So you need a meaningful project. You need creative work that's going to fire you up. By finding a creative project or a craft that you can give yourself to, not only will you make something that is worth giving to the world and allows you to pour yourself into something, you'll also heal yourself. Creative work is inherently cathartic. It gives us a vehicle to process negative emotions. It's not the only vehicle available to us, but it is a good one. And it's one that I've been exploring for the last few years. Very recently, I've taken up fiction writing as a more serious pursuit, and I've fallen in love with it. And I think that this is probably a game I will play for the next several decades. And that feels awesome to know that I have a game to play that I'm excited about and can get infinitely better at for the rest of my life. That is awesome. That means that no matter how much money I have in the bank, no matter what is going on in the external world that I can't control, no matter what I'm feeling, I have something to look forward to that I'm 100% in control over. That is something no one can take away from you. That is something that that's power. What would it feel like to have something that excited you enough to get out of bed in the morning every day, that you were in control over, that was free? Creating stuff can be free. Absolutely it can. Okay. So that's the creative side. And then you also need a physical practice. You need to fall in love with the process of training your body. And this actually can be fun. It's fun to get strong, and it's fun to feel yourself becoming more resilient. It can also just be fun in the moment when you're doing it with friends, but you need a physical practice to ensure you stay in the game long enough to see the vision through. Okay, you need to build resilience. The forces of addiction and distraction and stimulation are only getting better, and they're getting better and more widespread. And the AI isn't going anywhere, and the technology is here to stay. And so we need to train ourselves as humans to navigate it. We need to be able to express ourselves and use our full mental faculties with the creative work, and we need our physical bodies to, be durable and resilient and have flexibility and strength. Anyway, that's the basic idea. So I just want to paint that picture as like, that's what we're aiming at. That's what you're going to replace your chronic consumption habits with. And I don't want to hear any excuses about, it's not for me or whatever. well, whatever. You're, and the cool thing is, again, your temperament, your need for intensity, for friction, plays to your advantage here. Okay, you have a superpower. You just haven't activated it. Okay? I speak from experience here. This was where I was at a few years ago. It's taken me a few years to really commit to the process. And we'll talk about that as well. But like, there is another way, and you don't need to feel broken and sick all the time. So how do you start developing a creative practice? Here's what you're going to do. You're going to go to the store today, or you're going to look around your house, and you're going to get a journal and a pen. Ideally, these are items that feel good in your hands. Like, you like the look of it. You like the way the pen rides across the paper. Pause. And then you're just going to write for 10 minutes in the morning and at night about what is going on within you and within the world around you. Do not overthink this. Do not try to compose a symphony or write a novel or write a screenplay unless you are prepared to do those things or you feel genuinely excited to try. You're just going to start by observing, because you are a human being and you have powers of observation that you haven't used for a long time. You have not had to pay attention for a little bit, because for most of your conscious life in the recent past, you've been just turning to instant stimulation. You've been scrolling, or you've been turning to other sources of distraction. So now you're going to train your ability to pay attention, and you're going to put words to it. And by doing this, you'll be able to use your voice again, and you will automatically train yourself to start paying attention again. And that's going to feel great. So you're going to start with that. And then in terms of movement, you're going to go on a walk, same thing, in the morning and at night, before or after the journaling practice. And then you're going to scale both of those things up. I don't want to get into the weeds of exactly what you should do, because I think, honestly, that you have some idea. I think that you have more answers than you give yourself credit for. Seriously. I say that because you've grown up with no shortage of information. Like, you can get answers to any question you have. If you want to research a fitness program or learn about a type of creative practice, like, you can do that right now. And I think you already know what your quote unquote passions are. You actually don't know if they are your passions because you haven't started them. And you only get a sense of clarity through action. So what you need to do today is figure out the smallest action that you can reasonably take, and then do that with 100% presence in the moment. Not trying to control the outcome, not attached to the future version of you or the past version of you, but fully just present in the moment. And this is harder than it looks, but if you have a little bit of faith in yourself, I promise you it is possible. Okay. The other thing I think it's important to touch on is the same things that make you addicted to comfort substances can be applied to your life as a creative athlete. And they can make you addicted not really addicted, but kind of addicted to the process of forward motion. So when you look at what happens with comfort substances, you use a comfort substance. You scroll, or you vape, or you smoke weed, or you do something that gives you an instant hit of gratification, and you associate that substance with that dopaminergic feeling. So then you turn to it again, and the next time that you feel lonely or depressed or hungry or tired or experiencing something you don't want to feel, you turn to that substance because you associate it with the positive feeling, blah, blah, blah. It goes on, and then you need more and more of the substance, or a more potent hit of stimulation to get satisfied in the moment. You build a tolerance. You're going to apply this same thing to your creative work, or going into the unknown. So over time, as you expose yourself to the meaningful stimulus, the creative work, the physical practice, you're going to just increase your dosage, or you're going to increase the potency of the work. You're going to take on a more difficult project, or you're going to go into an unknown realm. You're going to explore a new subject, or a new type of craft. And you're just going to scale up the stimulus of that meaningful project. Does this make sense? So you apply this addiction framework to the meaningful work framework. You do the same thing with physical practice, progressive overload, making the workout, the training, whatever your regimen is, making it more difficult or more complex over time, adding levels to it, until one day you look back and you don't even recognize yourself in a good way. Like, you're like, wow, I've fallen in love with the process of moving forward. And I'm exchanging effort for positive feeling, for dopamine, for satisfaction. It's going to feel great. Understand that is the trade, though. You can have this. You can live the life of the creative athlete. You can. You can derive your day-to-day meaning and satisfaction from creative work and physical practice. But there is a trade. And the trade is you have to give up the cheap stuff. You have to give up the instant gratification, because otherwise the meaningful, the effortful dopamine won't hit. It won't pack a punch. So for a time, you have to give up the scrolling, the vaping, the smoking weed, anything that you're chronically turning to escape or to turn your brain off. You have to give that a break. And in the absence of the cheap stuff, the cheap dopamine, you're going to turn to more nourishing substances. Nourishing food, real food that makes you feel alive, that makes you genuinely excited to go and move your body, right? You're going to turn to nourishing media. So art, books, films, media that it makes you want to create your own work, okay? That teaches you something, or that makes you feel more like this creative athlete. You're going to immerse yourself in a world of you're going to immerse yourself in media that requires you to be engaged, that requires you to pay attention, that isn't easy, okay, that is satisfying and fulfilling and leaves you feeling satiated, but that doesn't give you a quick burst of chemicals with no effort. Over time, you will condition yourself to crave these things. This is so important because right now this might sound like some self-improvement spiel or like, oh, if I was only more disciplined, this would be possible. No. You are a human animal. The human animal is marvelously adaptive. You can train yourself, you can condition yourself to enjoy almost anything, especially these things. These things actually do give us pleasure. We've just forgotten how to derive meaning from them. We just need to expose ourselves to them for long enough that they start giving us energy again. So find the thing that you can do today. You break down the task into just a tiny little bite-sized piece of the practice, and you do that 1 time, you do that 2 times, you do that 3 times, 4 times, 5 times, 10 times, and you start scaling up the intensity. You start doing it for a little bit longer, not because you feel you have to, but because you actually want to. With enough exposure, you start to crave a little bit more intensity. This is the really cool thing about being a human, is you actually want this. All of your internal systems, your psychology, the chemicals that course through your body are set up to do this. You are designed to face challenge and to solve problems and to create things from nothing. This is what you've inherited as a human being. And you just need to put yourself back in that zone a little bit to reawaken that part of you. There's a part of you that is craving this level of creation and of output, right? There's a part of you that craves moving your body in new and interesting ways, like learning dance, martial arts. There's a part of you that wants to run and feel the wind, and feel your lungs burning a little bit. There's a part of you that wants to get strong, that wants to feel your muscles break down due to the stress and then grow back with the right nourishment. There's a part of you that craves real food. There's a part of you that craves art and creation and reading books and exposing your ideas to new ways. None of this I know all of this has been talked about to death. What I'm saying right now that I need you to remember is that you want this. There's a part of you that wants this. And that's what you have to remind yourself in the moments where you are, craving just that quick hit. If you turn to that quick hit, you're going to be much less likely to turn to that deeper satisfaction, the deeper sources of meaning. And there's a part of you that really needs that. And if you expose yourself to it enough, you will naturally start to crave it again until you are conditioned to be the creative athlete. That is the framework. That is what we are turning ourselves into. That's how we live a meaningful life in the digital age. We turn ourselves into that person. And then we become immune to the AI content slop, to all of the, addictive substances that are circulating out there in the world. I mean, some of the most powerful people in the world want you to be addicted and distracted all the time because that makes you very easy to control. It does not allow you to, when you are addicted and distracted and overstimulated all the time, you never create your life's work. Why would you? You're not capable of it. Worse than that, you don't even want to. So I want you to consider for yourself how significant an act of revolution this is. To pursue art, to pursue physical practice, to pursue creative work, to make something that you actually want to make, to listen to the childlike spirit of excitement within you. That is something that, engaging that part of you and really training it, putting it under a certain amount of healthy pressure and then repeating that process, recovering and then repeating that process, it makes you a very powerful person in an age of unprecedented distraction and overwhelm and addiction. I know this is a lot of words. I know this is a lot of ideas. I promise you, you are capable of this. It's something I've been working on for the last few years. This idea came to me in 2022, end of 20, like 3 years ago. And it took me a long time. And there's been many times where I've spiraled back into bad habits and where I haven't engaged in faith in this vision. And now I feel a great deal of conviction, and I've put a lot of work into developing my creative practice. I feel a newfound excitement for writing and performing fiction and short stories, and I think I'm going to follow that path because I think I have a lot to give there, and I think humans need that. But man, I would love to see out there on the field. I think you have a lot to give, and it doesn't need to be anything grand. It really doesn't. Keep it so simple and small, and just find a way to get excited enough to get out of bed. That is all I have for you today. Develop your human edge. Create human art. Develop your human capacity for movement. And I'll see you out there.